Dutton Ranch Season 1 Final Episode Spoilers. Rip discovers that Carter is leaking secrets about the ranch. Greetings, viewer. Going back to my channel. What if the enemy had been posing as family, eating at the same table, sleeping under the same roof, and entering the gates on a daily basis? Everything changes in today's startling analysis of Dutton Ranch Episode 7 when Rip Wheeler starts to think that someone around the ranch has been giving information to hostile adversaries. He initially thinks it might be a ranch hand or possibly an outsider operating secretly. In actuality, though, it takes him in an unexpected direction. Carter. Rip attempted to shield the same child. Beth gradually came to terms with the same boy. The same adolescent who at last began to feel like he belonged. Is Carter, however, truly betraying the ranch? Or is there something much more sinister going on behind the scenes? And if Rip is mistaken, he could ruin Carter's remaining family. To ensure you never miss any Dutton Ranch breakdowns and hypotheses, please hit the like button, subscribe, and enable notifications before we start. Let's get started now. Before sunrise, the episode begins. The ranch is remarkably silent. Standing outside the barn with a cup of coffee, Rip Wheeler is already awake. Mornings at the ranch are usually straightforward, predictable, and under control. But not right now. There seems to be a problem. Rip picks up on minute details. A gate that ought to be locked is a little ajar. Near the south pasture, there are new tire tracks. Even worse, 3 cattle have vanished. Not dead. Absent. Rip kneels close to the ground. His face becomes stern. This isn't a coincidence. Someone knew exactly where to go. Whoever did this wasn't speculating. They possessed knowledge. Insider knowledge. Rip collects the ranch workers later that morning. No one speaks. Nobody gets up. Do you wish to explain how someone is aware of our company? Rip asks icily. Quiet. Lloyd appears perplexed. Jake claims that no one spoke. No unusual people have been around, according to Ryan. Rip, but, doesn't think so. Since this is not the first odd thing. Too many things have gone wrong in the past few weeks. Rip collects the ranch workers later that morning. No one speaks. Nobody gets up. Do you wish to explain how someone is aware of our company? Rip asks icily. Quiet. Lloyd appears perplexed. Jake claims that no one spoke. No unusual people have been around, according to Ryan. Rip, but, doesn't think so. Since this is not the first odd thing. Too many things have gone wrong in the past few weeks. Beth's eyes narrow. That awful. At last, Rip speaks up. Someone is disseminating information. Beth freezes. Very serious right away. Are you certain? Rip gives a nod. Beth reclines. I hope someone enjoys suffering if they are foolish enough to betray this family. Rip remains silent. But Beth is concerned by something in his expression. Since Rip has suspects already. And he can't stop thinking about one name. Carter. Rip initially despises himself for even considering it. However, Rip then recalls an odd memory. 3 nights prior. For over an hour, Carter had vanished. Carter seems uneasy when Rip inquired about his whereabouts. Claimed to be only strolling. Rip disregarded it at the time. It seems suspicious now. Rip chooses not to charge him. Not quite yet. Rather, he observes. Rip silently watches Carter for the next few days. And that's when the situation deteriorates. Carter begins to continuously check his phone. Stealthily leaving. Being preoccupied. Rip spots him standing close to the property's edge one afternoon, having a quiet conversation. Too softly. Carter abruptly interrupts the call as soon as he sees Rip. Rip senses it at that point. Something chilly. Something perilous. Suspicion. Beth finds Rip sitting by himself later that evening. "You got that look again," she remarks. "What look?" Rip lets out a breath and says, "The one where somebody's about to disappear." Beth stops grinning and says, "It might be Carter." "No." Rip clarifies everything. The livestock that went missing. The peculiar actions. The covert phone conversations. Beth stops talking. Even she finds it hard to accept. However, she then says something unsettling. "If he's betraying us, you can't hesitate." Deep down, Rip doesn't want to believe it, so he looks at the table. Not Carter. Not the child who at last began to live here. However, the ranch has taught Rip one lesson. Everything burns when you put your trust in the wrong person. Rip doesn't get any sleep that night. Long after everyone has entered the bunkhouse, he remains outside and observes the ranch as if it may suddenly reveal its secrets. Slow and heavy, the wind blows across the fields as if someone were waiting. Furthermore, Rip Wheeler is no longer merely the ranch's enforcer. Its hunter now is him. He alters his schedule the following morning. Rather than immediately going to work, he begins to observe every action on the land. Who converses with whom? Who departs early? Who stays close to the office for too long? Above all, who knows stuff they shouldn't know? Carter sees Rip observing him. He initially tries to behave normally. He kept his head down while cleaning the stalls and working the fences. But the little fissures are visible to Rip. Carter's hesitant actions. How he avoids making eye contact. He looks over his shoulder more frequently than usual. Rip doesn't approach him. So far, no. Because over the years, Rip has discovered something significant. Confessions are not made under duress. They stumble. Rip chooses to ignore Carter as a result. Carter is assigned to bring supplies to the storage barn by the East Ridge later that day. The work is easy. Regular. Carter has repeatedly done this. However, Rip silently follows from a distance. Not near enough to be noticed. Just enough to notice. After arriving at the barn and delivering the supplies, Carter takes an unexpected action. He stays behind. He walks behind the barn instead. Out of view. The Rip slows. Observes while hiding behind a rusty truck. Carter takes his cell phone out. His hands tremble a little. He swiftly types something, pauses, scans his surroundings, types it again, and sends it. Rip's mouth tightens. That is all. That is the time. Rip knows enough, even though he has no idea what was conveyed. Information is being given to someone. Someone is not on the ranch. The connection is Carter. Rip takes hesitant steps back. His thoughts raced. The ranch is already exposed if Carter is the source of the leak. Vulnerable already. Already at risk. However, Rip hasn't moved in yet. Since he requires evidence. Solid proof. Something that Beth cannot dispute. There is nothing to dispute. Beth notices something is wrong that night. She never fails to. Rip is not as chatty as normal. More intent. More far away. As she pours whiskey, she adds, "You found your ghost yet?" Rip takes a while to respond. He looks at the glass instead. He reiterates, "I think it's Carter." Beth ceases to pour. She doesn't laugh it off this time. She examines Rip's visage. "You following him?" "Yes." Rip hesitates, and his message was visible to me. Beth slowly leans back. She stays silent for a moment. She then talks cautiously. "That doesn't mean anything." Rip glances at her. Beth keeps going. "Children text. They tell falsehoods. They freak out. Doesn't imply that he is selling the property." Rip has a low voice. "He felt anxious," Beth exhales. Do you know how this sounds, Rip? Rip remains silent. You seem to be so desperate to find a traitor that you're willing to transform a child into one. It lands. Tough. Since Beth is correct. However, Beth is unaware of something that Rip is. The ranch has adversaries. True ones. And Carter's age doesn't matter to those adversaries. Or if he is perplexed. Or if they're using him. Their primary concern is information. Carter may be giving it away as well. He may be aware of it or not. Carter will be tested by Rip. Don't charge him. Not terrify him. Simply watch what occurs when the pressure rises. Rip assigns Carter a new duty the following morning. Something crucial. Intentional ambiguity. Rip advises to take this envelope to the county office. Carter agrees. Accept it. Letters. Carter, however, is unaware that the envelope is empty. Its lure. Rip observes once again from a distance. Carter exits the ranch on horseback. It all appears to be normal. Halfway there, that is. Carter halts. Unmounts. Glances around. Then he takes out his phone once more. Rip stands on a ridge and looks through binoculars. Carter initiates a message exchange. Type a message. It's sent. A mother is unconscious in a hospital bed, a pistol arrives in the trailer, and among the mayhem, a son is approaching his sibling while holding a firearm, prepared to do something he will never be able to undo. Every frame of the just-released official trailer for Dutton Ranch Episode 8 screams that the Jackson family business is about to fall apart in the most catastrophic and brutal way imaginable. However, this is the twist that hasn't been discussed yet. The Jackson family may not even be the true threat. The true danger is already present in Rio Paloma, concealed in plain sight, just waiting for everyone to let their guard down. The biggest conspiracy of the entire season was just unveiled in this trailer, so stay tuned. There is no big encounter at the beginning of the Whiskey Mountain trailer. It begins with a single image, which is significantly riskier. A mother is being taken to the hospital, and her son is standing next to her, making himself visible to everyone. On the surface, that image seems to be doing a lot less effort than it actually is. Throughout her life, Beulah Jackson built an empire founded on the singular value of loyalty. Absolute, unchanging dedication to the family and the ranch served as the cornerstone for every choice she made, partnership she created, and kid she reared. However, that foundation is shattering at this one moment, which was caught in the trailer and viewed by millions of people. Beulah is not awake. She is unable to express herself. She is unable to make choices. Neither her family nor her empire can be protected. The entire family is watching to see who is genuinely deserving of inheriting what Beulah created, and Ro Bob will present himself as the man who stepped up in that precise moment of weakness, the man who was devoted enough to stand at his mother's side. However, this is the issue that the video wants you to grasp without explicitly stating it. Rob wasn't selected. Joaquin, his brother, was meant to take over as leader. Joaquin performed flawlessly. He attended school, received his degree, and established his reputation. He demonstrated his readiness to assume control of the family business to both his mother and the entire ranching community. Then, in the most horrible turn of events, his brother was given leadership instead. It was a weapon of rejection. The breaking point was that rejection. Additionally, the teaser depicts Joaquin carrying a gun as he arrives there, indicating that rejection has evolved into something much darker than disappointment. Rage has replaced it. Desperation has taken over. It has evolved into the kind of violence that breaks apart families and ruins everything they have created. This episode's title wasn't chosen at random. Whiskey Limits. That expression refers to the precise moment when a person begins making decisions solely based on emotion and desperation rather than reason. Joaquin is perched on that precipice. He has a gun in his hand. The trailer makes it very evident that a confrontation is imminent as he approaches it. Furthermore, the individual he is approaching is not a stranger. His brother is the one. Instead of him, it is the man who was selected. Even though Joaquin is aware of the truth, it is the man who is currently standing in the hospital portraying himself as the family's savior. Rob wasn't supposed to be a leader. Joaquin was the intended leader. And at some point in this episode, those two brothers are going to breach an uncrossable line and confront one another. However, the Jackson family's internal disintegration is only half of the tale. The trailer shifts the focus from the hospital to Rio Paloma, where a similarly frightening event is taking place in the shadows. The folks who were meant to be safe inside the ranch are learning that the threat was always present inside the walls. The family of Beulah is in disarray. She is losing her empire. With a rifle in hand, her son is approaching his sibling. What if the breakdown of the Jackson family isn't the primary narrative? What if it's really a diversion from something much worse that will soon come to light? The prior episode contains the evidence. Beulah's own granddaughter and Rob Will's daughter, Oriana, remained covertly devoted to her father throughout. Carter was close to her. She was part of the Dutton family's emotional inner circle. Then she disclosed her actual allegiance, indicating that at least one Jackson family member had been working as a spy inside Rio Paloma. A much worse prospect is made possible by just one betrayal. How many more members of the Jackson family might be secretly infiltrating Rio Paloma at this very moment if one person could do it? The way the trailer depicts Rip Wheeler navigating the ranch with deliberate precision implies that he is posing the same question to himself, even though it doesn't directly address it. He is looking into it. He's learning. He is making connections that have not yet been made by anyone else. And he is terrified by the image that is developing before him. So, how are these two crises related if Rio Paloma is hiding a traitor that no one has yet found and the Jackson family is destroying itself from within? When the trailer switches the focus from the breakdown of the Jackson family to what is happening at Rio Paloma, it does a very creative thing. It doesn't depict mayhem. Calculation is displayed. The attacks that have been taking place at the ranch are not causing Rip Wheeler to react emotionally. He's researching them. He is traversing the property with the kind of concentrated intensity that only arises when someone has already discovered something important and is now assembling proof to support it. Rip has changed after years of being a guy motivated by instinct, unadulterated rage, and the urge to defend his beloved. He is now a man motivated by research and accuracy. He now realizes that the guy who damaged the ranch might not be an opponent from outside the gates. Someone who lives inside the ranch walls every day, eats at the same table, and rides with the same crew could be the one who destroyed the ranch. That insight completely alters the way he tackles the issue. He now recognizes that the person responsible for the ranch's destruction might not be an outsider hiding behind the gates. Someone who lives inside the ranch walls every day, eats at the same table, and rides with the same crew may be the one who destroyed the ranch. His entire approach to the situation is altered by that revelation. The horrific reality concealed in this video is that there are fingerprints all over the Rio Paloma attacks that identify an insider. Someone who understood the ranch's layout. Someone who was aware of the weak points in the defense. Someone who was familiar with the guards' and employees' schedules. Someone with access to knowledge that could only be obtained by insiders. Additionally, the teaser implies that Rip is starting to comprehend how that information was transmitted. Oriana was within Rio Paloma for months. Carter and she were close. They invited her to join the family. People trusted her. She also kept her father, Rob Will, informed about all she saw, heard, and discovered about the ranch's operations over that entire period. However, this is where the image starts to get really scary. Perhaps Oriana wasn't working alone. It's possible that the network of loyalty that brought her and Carter together is the same network that currently positions other individuals across Rio Paloma. Although these individuals are not identified in the teaser, Azuel's appearance in the inquiry sequences raises the possibility that Rip trusts the traitor. Someone employed at the ranch. Someone who has earned a spot in the crew's inner circle. While Beth is working on a completely separate level, Rip is investigating who physically assisted in the ranch attack. She is depicted in the trailer amid moments of intense anxiety and calculation. The kind of expression she gets just before she uses leverage and information to harm someone. The hands that pulled the trigger are unimportant to Beth. Money and motivation are important to Beth. She is concerned about who gains from witnessing Rio Paloma burn. She is concerned about which financial interest will benefit the most from the ranch's weakening and attack. Additionally, the teaser implies that Beth is getting closer to a solution that Rip has yet to find. Beth is pursuing the person who employed the traitor while Rip is pursuing the traitor within the property. Beth is locating the money trail while Rip is searching for the weapon. Although these two very distinct investigations are working independently, they are both aiming for the same goal. According to the official description, Rio Paloma is being shaken by a storm. A storm that challenges Rip and Beth's decisions. A storm that makes them determine just how far they are prepared to go in order to defend what they have created. Furthermore, the storm isn't coming from the sky. People who have placed themselves both inside and outside the ranch walls are the source of it. The Jackson family is disintegrating just as their betrayal of Rio Paloma is about to be revealed, which is why the storm is approaching. Joaquin is approaching his brother while brandishing a gun, and his mother is asleep in a hospital bed, powerless to halt the impending storm. Rip and Beth are simultaneously realizing that the individuals they trusted have been working against them the entire time, which is why the storm is approaching. However, what this teaser depicts about Carter is the most unsettling aspect of it. Beth is advising her son to prepare for difficult times. Must be ready for anything. Furthermore, that caution extends beyond the assaults on the ranch. That warning relates to something much more harmful and intimate. Earlier in the season, Carter lost his close friend Dwight. When he realized Oriana's true allegiance was always to her father, their relationship broke down in the most agonizing way imaginable. He has consumed alcohol. He's been getting worse. He has been making more and more careless decisions that point to someone who is losing hope and reality. And now his own mother, who has undergone every imaginable calamity, is staring him in the eyes and warning him that what lies ahead will be worse than everything he has ever experienced. That warning indicates that Carter will experience something in this episode that will shape the rest of his life. Carter is at a fork in the road, with one option leading to salvation and another to ruin, according to that warning. The way the trailer ties all of these threads together implies that Rio Palomino's search for the traitor and the internal conflict inside the Jackson family are not two distinct narratives. They belong to the same plot. They are two sides of the same assault. They are evidence that someone has set themselves up to turn their own family members against them in order to destroy both families at the same time. What happens when all three of these investigations intersect in the same episode? If Joaquin is approaching his brother brandishing a gun, Rip is uncovering a traitor inside his own group, and Beth is getting closer to the financial motivation behind the attacks. This clip builds to a point when three entirely different investigations come together to reveal a deeper plot than either Rio Palomino or the Jackson family could have ever dreamed. Joaquin feels his complaint is personal, so he is approaching his brother brandishing a revolver. He thinks that inheritance and family politics are the reasons behind his betrayal. Because he was passed over for leadership, he feels that his anger is justifiable. But what if someone is controlling his rage? What if someone is aware of Joaquin's anger and is purposefully driving him in the direction of his brother at the precise moment when alcohol and desperation have ruined his judgment? The timing is too perfect to be a coincidence, even though the trailer does not openly depict this manipulation. Just when Beulah is unconscious and unable to act, Joaquin shows up with a revolver. Rob Will is positioned as the family hero at this precise moment. The Jackson family is at its most vulnerable and split right now.